Now, let me talk to you about this first one, evangelism, sharing the good news with others. It's Christians' most neglected task. I don't have to tell Christians to worship. They do it every week. I don't have to tell Christians to fellowship. They do it every week. Most of them have some kind of service. Most of them are growing in some way. But what they don't do is they don't share the good news with anybody else. Here's the problem. Of the Christians' 5 tasks, 5 purposes, worship, fellowship, discipleship, ministry, and evangelism, the one that is most neglected is evangelism, sharing the good news with unbelievers. Is anybody going to be in heaven because of you? You're going to be in heaven because somebody shared the good news with you. Have you shared it with anybody else? And as I said earlier, the truth is, evangelism, sharing the gospel, is why God leaves his followers here on earth after they're saved. You can worship, fellowship, grow as a disciple, serve God, all these things in heaven. You can sing and everything else, but you can only witness to non-believers while you're left here on earth. Evangelism, though, as I said, is the purpose that gets the least emphasis in most churches, in most Bible schools, in most seminaries, in most Bible studies. In fact, the sad fact is most Christians have never brought anybody else to Jesus. Bringing somebody to heaven with you, listen, is the greatest thing you can do with your life. Determining the eternal destiny of somebody else is going to outlast every hobby, every job, every other thing you did on earth. If one person's going to be in heaven because of you, imagine getting to heaven and having them come up and say, thank you, I'm here because you led me to Christ. You brought me to church. You helped me to know the good news. Most Christians have never had that joy. Why? Because they've never been equipped to share the good news in a natural, uncomfortable, easy way. The way that evangelism is taught today is more like a sales pitch. Nobody wants to do a sales pitch to their neighbor, their friend, or their relative. We've got to let go of the old ways of evangelism. And in finishing the task, we're going to teach a whole new, easy, natural way to share the gospel, the way Jesus did it. You know, the one thing that Christians and non-Christians have in common, they both hate evangelism. They both hate it because they've both been taught it's a wrong approach. As I said, feels unnatural and is more like a sales pitch. Now, here's the real problem. Most churches, probably your church, have no plans or goals for training in personal evangelism. You have no mission program beyond your own community, and that's sad. Because the fact is, Satan doesn't mind at all if we're Christians, as long as we hunker in a bunker and worship and fellowship and say, we're all saved, the rest of the world, you can go to hell. As long as we don't bring other people to Jesus, he doesn't care. Here I live in the state of California, 40 million people, and we have a constant water shortage. And we've been plagued, because of that water shortage, by drought and massive wildfires for decades. So, you know, the state government here in California created an emergency warning system to warn the residents in high-risk rural areas that a fire's coming. And they have these loud sirens that are planted on posts all through the rural areas in Northern California. And I lived there. I lived in the Redwoods as a young boy. You can hear these sirens across valleys and across mountaintops in an area when it's threatened by fire. But you know something I read the other day about a recent wildfire where a lot of people in California died. Why? Because the early warning system failed. They never had a chance to hear that this massive fire was headed their way. They didn't know they were in danger. And the report said that the early warning system had been out of commission for a long, long time. Out of commission for a long, long time. That phrase caught my attention. So I looked up the phrase out of commission in the dictionary. And the Webster's Dictionary defines it this way: Out of commission means not working and not in working order. Out of commission means unable to function. It means not in service. It means it's broken. It's unavailable for its intended use. It's missing in action. It's comatose. It's dead. It means out of commission means unusable. Now, when it comes to accepting responsibility for the Great Commission, the greatest commission of Jesus Christ, I'm sad to report that most Christians are out of commission. They're out of commission with the Great Commission.